I'm not really excited for when we do Lord of the Rings. I don't think they aged well.
We'll do that.
Blasphemy.
I don't think many people agree with me, but I also kind of feel that about the books too.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
I don't know. I'm kind of a hater at this point.
Wow, you're an LOTR hater. Why?
I'm not an LOTR hater. It's like I don't think they're all that in a bag of chips, you know?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Not Your Father's Movies. I'm Vito.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Jesse, and we are the Dad Fathers returning at you with some Jedi energy.
That's right, because we're finishing out our trilogy of the OG Star Wars here with Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. How are you guys feeling tonight?
I'm feeling like I've returned.
Good.
Yeah.
Appropriate.
Yeah, I feel like I've returned from a 200-year-old slumber, or 30 years, I guess it was for the Jedis.
Yeah, a long time.
Mhm.
A long time. They're returning after, it's a long time, especially when I was a kid, thinking about this, like, oh, where does this all fit into the chronology? The new episodes are coming out. And I was like, 30 years. Wow, so long. And then I got older and I said, you know what? Like, that's not that long. Like, they haven't been gone that long. They're already the stuff of legend. Legends aren't made in 30 years. That doesn't make sense. Anyway, but we're talking about this to close out our Star Wars trilogy. We'll have that and many more spicy takes here to come.
I mean, Joe Exotic is already a legend.
This is true. Joe Exotic is
only
legend.
a year and a half years old.
Already doing some super illegal stuff for being of that age. Man, I can't believe we're bringing up Joe Exotic in a Star Wars episode. What are we doing?
Yeah,
Oh,
we should be doing Star Wars.
This tells me, this is like that joke, though, right? Tell me you're a millennial without telling me you're a millennial. It's bringing up Joe Exotic in a Star Wars episode.
Oh, yeah. I guess so. Yeah.
But we're doing this. We're closing out our trilogy of these childhood classics, these dad movie classics. I'm just going to start really quick with who's changed in some of the cast and crew. This one is directed by Richard Marquand. I think I'm saying this correctly. Just like our last director, this is kind of a workman-like guy. He's been around a long time, done a lot of different stuff. Most known, for doing a movie called Jagged Edge, written off of a Joey Esterhaus script. And it stars Jeff Bridges and Glenn Close. He was the seventh choice behind people like Spielberg himself, David Lynch, and David Cronenberg. And these would have been much different movies.
Yeah.
If you'd like to know what a sci-fi epic looks like when it's directed by David Lynch, you can always go watch Dune. That's always available to you.
Yeah,
No.
At least we can say that is much worse than this. And I like where this came out. But I was just trying to do the thought exercise, like Steven Spielberg doing such a rousing crowd pleaser like Return of the Jedi. That's a home run in my book.
yeah. Why did he not do it? Was he just
he was
busy with
busy.
other projects? Yeah.
He was busy. It was going to take a lot of time. He wasn't sure he wanted to step in.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff. But he and Lucas are obviously buddies and,
Right.
collaborated a lot over their careers.
Right.
But-
what did he end up doing instead?
Let's look here. Let's consult the old Wikipedia. So this is 1983. So if we're going to look at Spielberg in 83, I'm guessing he's doing Close Encounters at this time. Let's see. E.T. is 1982. So yeah, he's busy.
All right, so E.T. instead.
So he's got Raiders of the Lost Ark in 81, which he worked on with Lucas, right, on the script, and he directed and produced it. Then we have E.T. in 1982, and then he also directs a segment in Twilight Zone, the movie, and then Indiana Jones Temple of Doom in the next 2 years. So this guy
he's
is...
got a lot going on.
Yeah. And let's see. Although if I had to say, if I could only have Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom or Steven Spielberg doing Return of the Jedi, I would pick Return of the Jedi like every time.
That would have been
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No questions asked.
Lay it to rest, Your Honor. So we're not big fans of the Indiana Jones 2, but someday we'll do those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was actually the first one that I saw.
Weird.
It was really weird. It's at my cousin's house.
Yeah.
Like, let's watch Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
And you
Like
were like-
pulls out his heart. Like, what is this movie?
and before that, they monkey heads.
They do, yeah.
Monkey brains, I think.
Monkey brains.
Oh yeah. It's
In
even
the
grosser.
head, though.
It's
They have
even
like the
grosser.
head. Yeah, I have a very visceral memory of this, apparently.
And then there's the really annoying little kid.
Short Round.
Yeah.
Is his name
round.
Short Round?
I believe so.
Oh,
Yeah, not a lot of racial sensitivity back in 1983.
I thought that he was going to be a bigger part of the other two movies, but nope.
I keep maybe he's going to come back in 5.
Maybe.
But this is written by Richard Marquand and Lucas, but also Lawrence Kasdan. I don't know if we've mentioned Lawrence Kasdan to this point, but he should be mentioned. Writer on many of the Star Wars movies, 4, 5, 7, and Solo. But he's also known for Body Heat, The Big Chill, Silverado, and Wyatt Earp. Not a lot of changing hands, though. We got the same basic cast, same basic crew. We got Billy D coming back as Lando for episode 5. We have basically all the friends and family that we've come to know and love across these 2 movies, all coming back to make this one concerted effort to overthrow the Empire. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Also, I just found out something that blew my mind. Billy D. Williams is 84 years old.
It's incredible. It's incredible. He's lost none of his charisma.
No, not at all.
I still would not trust my wife around him.
I wouldn't trust you around him.
I don't think I would either. Oh, Billy. I do have to ask, though, given all of this sort of build-up that we've been doing, we've been relying so heavily on nostalgia to do these episodes. Maybe I'll start us off. I have probably the most nostalgia for any of these movies about this one. This is the one I definitely watched the most number of times because it's so much fun, so action-filled. And like I would watch episode 5, but it was so creepy and atmospheric and dark and heavy. And especially, Luke striking down Vader down there in Yoda's planet, right? And then seeing his own face. Confusing imagery for me as a child. But this one was easy. This one was easy to digest. The message was there. I was similarly as Luke, a really angry kid. And so seeing the same temptations towards like losing your temper and lashing out at others played out in this really satisfying way. And then finding that curbing those desires to hurt is actually like what you should be doing. And the movie wants you to do that was really impactful for me as a kid. And I remember just watching that end fight between Luke and Vader and then, Vader and the Emperor just over and over and over again and really absorbing. That's actually part of where my love for choreography also began, was seeing that interplay. This is the first legit lightsaber battle that we have. Because like the one between Obi-Wan and Vader can't count. They don't really do anything.
No, just kind of like wave their lightsabers around. Yeah,
it's lame because at that time, as Lucas has said, his conception of the lightsabers was that they were so powerful, you were spending most of your energy like keeping it still.
Oh, wow.
And that's why there's so little anything going on, is he wanted to show these like totemic pieces of power that these otherworldly beings could wield. And then episode 5 comes along and he's like, well, it's actually probably better actually if they can swing them better.
Yeah.
And then 6 comes along and he's like, I don't know, it's a sword fight.
They're swords, but they're lasers. They're awesome.
Yeah. Which is obviously clearly the best way to go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
By like, if the final scene had just been a repeat of the Obi-Wan Vader scene of them just like basically standing still and moving their wrists a little bit, that would have been so disappointing.
That's cool though, because with Kylo Ren, like his lightsaber, like they carried that into the sequel trilogy,
right?
Because his lightsaber, like what's so cool about it is that it's very unstable, and it's got to have like
the cross guards.
Yeah, the cross guards.
Yeah.
But those are also just like
Vents.
The power is being vented out there, and he's like he has so much rage, and it's interesting that they brought that idea forward into probably the best part of the sequel trilogy, which is Kylo Ren's lightsaber.
Yeah.
That is,
you know what? I'm going to allow that. Yeah, no, Kylo Ren's lightsaber is freaking awesome.
I've thought more about that than anything else in the movies.
Yeah, that is the best part. Man, I love that lightsaber. I also love how like it squiggles a little bit as it goes.
I love that. And
yeah.
you can hear it squiggling too.
Yeah.
That's what's so rad.
Yeah, the sound is awesome.
But yeah, I spent so many Saturday afternoons with my VHS tape copy that had been recorded off of TNT, like watching this over and over and over again, fast forwarding the Ewoks and just getting to the action. Get me to the action. And it's so satisfying and still really, really good. Even looking at it today, they're very competent, thrilling sequences.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of my nostalgia comes from. But how about you, Jesse?
Real quick. Did you fast forward even the Ewok action scenes?
No, so I had a very specific viewing order. I would start the movie, watch all the way through the Tatooine stuff up until, obviously that's all over. Then I would fast forward the crushingly boring conversation between Obi-Wan and Luke and Yoda and Luke.
It's long.
Get right past that stuff. And then I would do some of the Endor chase scenes, like the speeder scene is great. Fast forward some of the other stuff. And then basically right when we get to Luke offering himself up to Vader, that's where I'd hit play again. And that's where like the third act really begins. And the third act is, I don't know, half the movie.
Yeah.
And,
a third of the movie.
Yeah.
I think it's actually a good third of the movie. I think it's a third. I think. I'm going to say that.
You can say that. I think the last third is longer than the middle third.
It's possible.
Although
I don't think it's worth arguing about this.
There is a lot of stuff though with the whole like treating C-3PO as a god.
Yeah, and like they treat C-3PO as a god for a long time, and then they have like the meeting where Han Solo, you find out Han Solo is a captain. He's like making fun of Billy D. Williams for being a captain, and then he's also a captain.
I forgot about that.
You've got all that sort of
stuff. They have to sneak onto the planet, and they send the code. And
you might be right. You might be right.
Yeah,
we'll have to find the timestamps.
No idea. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that you're both right.
Thank you. I think we'll ask a former past guest from episode 4, John, to weigh in on the exact timestamps. He'll know.
John, let us know.
But Jesse, your nostalgia for this.
Oh, the force is strong with this one. I think it's I share the same sentiments as Vito. Like I watched the fourth one, and the fifth one is always really depressing, and this is one I'm always looking forward to. This is the most rewatchable when I was young, at least.
Right.
Because like first off, my boy C-3PO, he gets treated as a god. Yes, finally everybody realizes.
I know this is the third time that we've done this, but I'm still surprised again that you love C-3PO so much.
I quickly granted that. I was C-3PO for Halloween like 3 Halloweens in a row.
It's just amazing.
I was kind of outgrowing the costume by the time year 3 rolled around.
Like, your parents are like, oh, your son is interesting.
Jesse, hold on to your seat there. My wife has actually met Anthony Daniels.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Did she know?
Not really, actually. She was like, who are you? No, he asked like who had seen them, and she hadn't seen it. And so like half the room didn't. They were singing. My wife sings, and they were singing in like the chorus for something at like the Hollywood Bowl or something. He was just like, who loves Star Wars here? And like half the room didn't raise their hands because she didn't see it. And yeah, he was like, this is the weirdest thing ever. And it's like the Korra Ratama thing, you know. Jesse, you're
what?
Saying, I know.
How are there that many people who haven't seen Star Wars?
I don't know. I guess the people who are like into singing and the people who are into Star Wars, there's not a lot of crossover there. I don't know.
I beg to differ, sir. I think people that sing love Star Wars normally.
Jesse's into singing.
I like singing. I enjoy singing also thoroughly.
If you were to come into my home when I am showering, you would know I sing.
Yeah, well, I would have loved to have met Anthony Daniels and to have raised my hand for that chorus.
And been like, I was you for Halloween 3 years in a row.
And been like, that's weird, but I appreciate you.
He would have like signed my belly or something. Like,
oh, yeah.
Never washed the belly.
At least then Jesse'd have a reason.
Yeah. I mean, I don't now, so at least yeah. Anyway, so I loved it. I loved it for C-3PO. I loved it. Yeah, for the chase scene on the speed racers, like that's really cool. It's also the precursor for the pod race that happens in episode 1, which I realized this time around. Now I'm like, oh, that's so obvious, and I never noticed that. And also, I loved it as like a conclusion of everything. Like, you know, when everybody on all the different planets are all dancing around so happy or whatever. I always thought that was really cool. Which I realize now is not like the original movie because the original is the Yub Nub.
Yub Nub.
The Yub Nub song.
Yes, which is now gone. It is out of existence since I think 2004. And now with the final retooling of this, which I think happened in 2011, the original Yub Nub is gone from the 1983 version and has been replaced by the overview of all the different planets that we've seen along the way. Because it's assuming that everyone who's watching Star Wars Episode 6 both has forgotten the first time they've seen Star Wars Episode 6 and has also just finished the prequel trilogy.
I mean, yeah. So, like, I grew up watching the old version, but, like, I enjoyed the new ending so much that I forgot the Yub Nub existed until years later.
That makes me so sad. Mike did the
same
same
thing here.
That,
Vito has been talking about this for weeks about how it doesn't have the Yub Nub anymore, and I'm like, I don't remember what that was, but then he just sang it to me.
I did.
Speaking
Poorly.
of people who love singing, and it all came back. It flooded back this rush of memory that was unlocked by
Yub Nub.
Yeah, it's so much simpler.
Yeah, it's great. Whereas you cannot hum the current end theme, which is really a shame.
Yeah.
Because it's like nothing music. It's filler to show you the galaxy.
Yeah.
And really, it used to be just like, this is the Star Wars house party.
Yeah.
Like, this is where people are getting crazy. They're drumming on. As a kid, I didn't know that there was a person inside the stormtrooper outfits. I thought they were like robots.
So you thought that those heads?
I thought they just took the head off the robot and they're just like banging on. And you know what? There's nothing in this film to contradict that.
Well, I mean, like, they wouldn't make a good sound.
It doesn't make a good sound now.
Steel drums.
It sounds like crap now. So I could see that being filled with a head. And these Ewoks are bloodthirsty.
They are. They are very
even in the multi-planet version, which, in my opinion, is better. Like, what I want to see the Empire has fallen. I want to see the whole galaxy. It's funny because in this ending, like, we haven't seen some of those cities. We haven't seen Coruscant, and we haven't seen Naboo, which it shows.
Yeah, we haven't seen Naboo in forever.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time. But, like, I love the idea that it's an entire galaxy celebrating the Empire's falling. That, I think, is really cool, and I've always been drawn to that. Like, it's finally, like, I'm seeing the galactic repercussions of them blowing up the Death Star. That's exactly what I want to see at this moment. And then you go and it cuts to the bears and you see the Ewoks. And
the Care Bears.
The giant Care Bears. And you see them and you still see them drum and doing somersaults or whatever. Yeah, like, you still get a mix of both, but I prefer the galactic repercussions.
I agree with you, man. I don't know if I prefer it, but I do like it. I think that it's cool. I remember when I saw it for the first time being like, oh yeah, that makes sense. This is the one like change that I'm digging. You know?
Yeah. I think I'm just against it on principle.
Yeah.
Because we had a movie and the movie was done. And then there's a 1997 version of the movie. And now it's done. Now there's a 2004 version of the movie. Now it's done. Now there's a 2011 version of the movie. And at a certain point, it's like, all right, that's enough. Like, especially with some of the other additions to this movie, I think it just makes it even worse. Like, the brand new musical number at the beginning.
Oh, it's terrible.
Oh, it's awful.
Horrific.
And then the CGI characters that not blending at all with the real life puppets. Horrifying. Plus, the musical number is annoying as shit.
All right,
the jazz singer.
Mike has a look on his face that is so confused.
So yes, the jazz
musical
singer
number
sucks.
at the beginning of
Star
Wars.
he runs up and he's like singing and like it's disgusting.
Well, it's like a sexy alien lady with the long nose. You know,
but she's
like, you're like, why are we spending?
But then there's the guy who he runs up to the camera and you see like the spit that's really poorly
I
CGI.
hate that guy.
Yeah. It's like all of George Lucas's worst impulses. I'm sorry. So when it comes to changes in the movie, I'm like, just give me the 1983 one. Give me the cheesy effects. I don't give a shit. That's what I love.
That's what we're here for.
That's my perspective.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. Except for the final scene. That's the only one where I actually like this better. And it's the only time of all the improvements that he's done throughout all the movies where I'm like, yes, this is okay. The whole trilogy would be better if you hadn't touched them again.
Yeah. It wasn't necessary. It's not like a necessary change, but it is something kind of cool.
I'm glad you guys think it's cool.
Yeah.
I'm on team not cool. I'm on team grumpy. Give me the original.
We do hear one of the, what are they called? The Jar Jar Binks people?
Yeah. We saw
free is what you hear. And I'm like, that's stupid. Stupid language that you created.
Stop ending every word with saw. Yeah, it doesn't make it a different language.
It's like my child could have come up with this language.
On accident. And grew out of it the next day. Yeah. Like,
could you imagine? How did he pitch that? Like, all right, guys, we're going to have a whole alien race and they're going to say saw a lot. Any objections?
So I'm George Lucas, though, and if you look at these notes that I have from 1981, it says here
George, you just wrote that on a napkin.
No,
you just wrote that on a napkin today.
I don't think so. No, and I have billions of dollars behind me. I wrote this down. We're gonna make it. We saw make movie.
George, I saw you that night. You were super wasted.
You were hammered.
Now listen. I was transcending the plane and communing. Shut the up.
Jesse, any other nostalgia with this movie?
Yeah, I love this movie for a long time. It was my favorite Star Wars for a very long time, just because of the way it ends everything, and you finally see a real lightsaber fight, and it was the best for me. Mike, how is this nostalgia for you?
It's same, man. Exactly the same. Like, I guess as kids we just weren't really into like character development. Because
hell no.
Yeah. Like all through 1 and 2, like I got to an age when I was like 8 or something watching these, and I was no longer overly amazed by the special effect. Like I was still amazed by the effects and everything, but I was like, Luke doesn't really do anything.
No.
Luke is kind of a whiny baby.
Yeah.
I want to see him, fight with his cool lightsaber primarily.
Yep.
And this is the one where he does. This is the one where he has, taken on the mantle of the Jedi Knight, and he's controlling things, and that was just awesome.
The studio note was like, make that lightsaber green though.
Yeah. Yeah, and I dug it, in my favorite color from then forward until today.
Samesies, man. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's green.
And he fights a giant ass monster without a lightsaber, and that is still cool.
Yep. Super cool.
Yeah.
So, dude, but that scene though, like after he kills the Rancor and the guy comes out, like the Rancor,
I knew you'd feel bad for that guy.
I have always felt like genuine sorrow for that poor guy. Like, the guy's just there to take care of his Rancor. He wants to make sure he gets fed.
I've always laughed really hard at that guy. It's like, look at this fat loser. His monster just died.
I literally, when I was watching that scene earlier this week, I saw that, and I swear to you, I said, I bet you Mike likes that guy. I saw it. I was like, I hate this guy. This guy's like, Mike likes that dude. I know he does.
You guys are heartless. You have no heart. No, the scene that just sticks. I mean, there's several scenes from this that stick in my mind, but the one that sticks in it the most is Luke has picked up his lightsaber in the duel when he decides he's going to strike down the Emperor, but the Emperor doesn't go down quite so easily. It turns out, and he's like trying to figure out what he's supposed to do, whether he should kill these people or should he succumb to his anger or should he not. And he's under the stairs at one point.
Yep.
And half of his face is black and half of it is blue.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just like, that was a seminal moment for me. I was like, oh my gosh, the symbolism here. Like, he's half driven to darkness and the dark side, and he's half driven to the light side.
Sort of like a yin-yang.
Yeah, kind of a yin-yang-y type thing there. Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah.
That just blew my mind when I realized what was going on there. The 8-year-old Mike, who's like excited to see Luke finally do something, seeing this again, like, wait a second, that was cool.
Yeah,
I like that. It was kind of an awakening about movies with me. I was like, oh, whoa, you can do things with visual expression. Yeah.
I think I had that reaction like years and years later. My 20s. Like, oh yeah, look at that, half his face is black.
I'm probably giving 8-year-old Mike too much credit.
I think 8-year-old Mike was streets ahead, as they say.
Just
to bring back, because we haven't referenced Community in a while. I love that. I love that we all as like dorky, geeky kids, we're all like, yeah, this one rules. And now we're like, that's fun. I don't know.
But this movie also is like kind of a symbol of compromise for me. Because I would watch these with my older sister, and she, she's my older sister. There's not too much difference in age between us. It's like 1.5 years or something. And so her favorite was always 5 because of the lovey-dovey stuff.
Right.
Primarily. And also it's, maybe a better story. And this was always my favorite. And there were things in here that she really liked too.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, there were parts of it that were for me. Like Tatooine was for me.
Right.
But the Ewoks were for her. It was very much
Jane.
This was a very give and take movie for me. A very light side, dark side movie for me, maybe.
Yeah. Also, I think you guys, I like that you guys were still so different, and you are only like 16 months apart. That's what's wild.
Yeah. It is wild.
I love how our podcast now has like a Jane's movie corner.
Yeah, like between this and Pirates, right? Like so much, and she'll never hear it.
We're gonna get to Lawrence of Arabia at some point.
Oh, yeah.
We are gonna do that someday.
Then
we'll really get into the Jane stuff.
Quick question before we move on from nostalgia: when the Ewok like companion dies in that one fight scene, you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That always made me so sad.
Oh, yeah.
The same happened for you guys where you like that bummed me out like almost to tears. Like, oh my, like that Ewok was probably somebody's mother or father or something.
I thought it was a mother and a child, and like the mother died.
Yeah.
And like the child was just left there alone, you know? I think now watching it they seem like the same age, but
oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I always envision it as being like a, I don't know, husband-wife thing, but it's hard to tell gender.
Yeah, they all just make like they make dog noises, but they're walking bears. I don't know.
But when he goes over and just like
shaking,
and he like is like I don't know, he's making gentle gurgling noises.
Is that what the subtitles told you?
Gentle gurgles.
That's just what it always seemed like to me. Yeah, I don't know. Did you all have like strong reactions to the dying Ewok?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's another Ewok who dies.
Okay, you brought this up before.
Now, I have a memory. So, do you remember there's an Ewok who's flying? He's got like a I don't know. He's got wings. That he's manufactured. They're not like he's not a winged Ewok, but he has like a glider. Yeah. And he's dropping little rocks on the on one of the walkers, the Imperial walkers, or the chicken walkers, and then he gets shot down, and he goes down and he lands. Now, I have a distinct memory in my head of the walker stepping on him and crushing him. It is not in the version of the movie that I saw just a couple of days ago.
The Disney Plus version.
In the Disney Plus version. Do either of you have any memory of that?
And when I said you asked this question, it's because you did ask me that, and I honestly couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I mostly remember the one that Jesse was talking about, the sad Ewok being shot to death.
Yeah.
Ewok.
Because now that you've said it, that sounds so familiar.
Right? But also that could be something that is sort of intentionally put into your mind.
Like the ear being cut off in Reservoir Dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you swear you saw it, but you totally didn't.
Yeah, but you didn't. Yeah.
I would have thought there's got to be a Reddit thread somewhere that's like slow-mo versions of like every Ewok dying, because someone hates the Ewoks enough. I promise you.
That's probably true.
Of course they do.
Well, I'm probably just made it up.
Well, actually, let's ask that question here. This is a good question because we're right here. How do we feel in general about Ewoks? Do a little contrast then and now. Mike, then and now, how do you feel about Ewoks?
I liked Ewoks then. I liked not as much as Jane. Sure. And like partially in reaction to her, I overstated my dislike of them.
Makes sense.
Classic
just to,
like
get move.
Yeah, just to get under her skin a little bit. I liked them then. I like them now. They don't make any sense.
Sure,
but they're cute. They're cuddly.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
like I'd love to cuddle one.
Yeah, it's like cuddling a panda. Like they'll definitely rip your face off, but dang, it's soft.
Yeah, they're super cute. What about you?
I hated. I loved the Ewoks for a bit.
Yeah.
Then I began to hate the Ewoks because all my friends hated the Ewoks.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that's when I started the fast forward phase.
Okay.
To get past them because they were stupid and for kids. And I was an adult. And as an intellectual and an adult at 10 years old, I wanted the battle of good and evil between Skywalker and his father and the Emperor. But now, you know what? I don't mind them. It's some kiddie shit.
Yeah.
And I don't like kiddie shit when Lucas does it because I think Lucas looks down on children and is very condescending. But they're fine. They're fine.
Yeah.
Could the movie have been better without them? Perhaps. But I don't really know what you do instead. What do you think, Jesse?
I mean, looking at it now, like, why couldn't it have been Wookiees?
This is because they're not on Kashyyyk. Kashyyyk. There's 3 Ys.
I know.
Why?
But they say Kashyyyk.
What if it was like a lost thing of Wookiees, where Chewbacca can't even speak their language? Or what if it's like Chewbacca that's the god instead of C-3PO?
It's true.
Yeah.
But this is 1983. This is peak for dumb kid shit. Like the 80s is where we get a lot of this this stuff.
Yeah.
Also, there was, Leia golden bikini, master slave thing going on with Chewbacca at the beginning of the movie. Like,
Jabba.
Kid shit. Yeah, Jabba. That's right.
Chewie would never do that.
Reading some fanfics there,
right.
Jesse.
oh, the images. That's terrible. Yeah, no, that was Jabba. But, this is clearly not meant for kids. It's sort of, this is pretty meant for kids, right?
This is, the most kid-friendly of them all, while sporting some of the least kid-friendly scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole first act. The whole first act is pretty gritty and kind of dark.
Yeah, monsters.
Yeah, we're talking about, a crime syndicate. Mm-hmm. And their house and their... I don't know, they're gambling, drinking, and I guess they've already done that in Star Wars, but
they've got bad jazz.
Well, yeah, bad jazz.
This is sent millennia later of House Harkonnen. This is what we're looking at. The Barons have just turned into Hutts.
Yeah, exactly. So the Ewoks don't make sense to me now, but back then, I will say that I did love them. I thought they were great. It was another alien race to enrich the Star Wars universe for me. That's what they were.
And they brought down that walker pretty handily.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were useless.
That was really cool. A couple of them.
So, clearly logs versus machinery will win.
Yeah.
Every time.
Every time.
Nature always conquers machines, right?
Nature finds a way.
Yeah, you did it. You got it.
Yeah.
Dang you.
There you go. But yeah, now it's just I don't know. I think they could have been any other creature besides Ewoks, and it would have been fine and would have fit the tone a little better.
This is fair. I can see both. I like the
Ewoks. Okay. Just to really get in here though, really get in.
Let's get in.
Could it be another creature?
Jesse had a pretty compelling case for the Wookiees.
Well, but the Wookiees are strong hunters.
Indeed,
they would bow to no man. So the whole
have the Wookiees been massacred? By the way,
I don't know.
Because of Revenge of the Sith, massacred because of the fight on Kashyyyk.
No, they're not massacred, as we learned in the Christmas special.
Mike, I'm sorry to interrupt you for that.
Either way, the whole motion forward of the movie is the fact that they get captured by these creatures who are unfamiliar with the technology and with basically this indigenous species or whatever.
Primitive.
They're very primitive, and they see C-3PO and their minds are blown. They're like, he's a god, and they're not especially competent. When it comes to dealing with the outsiders, right?
Yeah.
It couldn't just be any creature. It couldn't be the Wookiees. It would have to be a similarly primitive society.
Well, to keep the same flavor, but you don't need to do that.
Yeah, but then you got a whole other movie.
Well,
yeah,
you have
Jesse's proposing.
Oh, okay. You have one or two things. You have similarly primitive society, so it could be an offshoot of Wookiees that abandoned, I don't know, their planet years ago, and now they're here.
Wild Wookiees.
Wild Wookiees. Why not? And you have Chewbacca and Han Solo running the show, able to translate things, and are still out and still, not familiar with technology or whatever. But you could also just have, a band of rebels that have been there for maybe a long time, or maybe it's just a group of locals who really want to get back at the Empire and don't have the technology or the money to do so. And here is a bunch of people giving them a bunch of guns to go do that. You could have that storyline too, and that would result in the same thing. All they need to do is take down the space. That's all they really need to do.
It'd be like that.
And they need a primitive locals generally. But you could change it up a little bit, and it wouldn't hurt it too bad.
Yeah, you need.
Okay.
I think they need a storyline where people go off and have conflict with the local tribe down there or whatever.
But then they have to come together.
Mm-hmm,
because only through unity can you destroy the Empire.
in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's literally just that. Okay, I cede.
I don't understand the hatred of the Ewoks. There's people who they just have hatred of the Ewoks.
I used to be that, but that was because I was a little edgelord.
Yeah,
I was like, everything must
10.
be serious and insane.
Yeah,
and this is some stupid kiddie shit.
I mean, it's stupid, but like,
isn't all of this a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even good yin yang stuff going on here.
No,
like,
it's quite sloppy.
Yeah,
but I think it's a point well said, Jesse. I see what you're saying, and I agree with it.
Yeah, I think that's the only reason I don't like the Ewoks. But yeah, I think they're mostly they don't bother me as much as when I was 10 either. Like when I was 10, that really bugged me for some reason. You know, I wanted Star Wars to be edgy.
Yeah. If I had seen Rogue One, if I had seen Rogue One when I was 10, that would still be my favorite movie of all time. Well, given that this is not that, but it is a little bit that, Jesse, I think you've already answered this, so maybe you can start us off the win/will, because you already have.
That's right. I already have. Yeah, so I already have. And
what did they think of it when they first saw it?
They just liked it. Yeah, I think, you know, they liked the Ewoks. They thought the Ewoks were cool, but also they were a little scared of the Ewoks because they might hurt everybody. Yeah, overall, they liked this movie. For them, it was just like seeing the other Star Wars. And I was not hyping this movie up to be like the last of the original trilogy or anything, because like, well, I don't know, we've got like 7 more Star Wars movies to go. so this was like a middle of the road Star Wars, because it was literally in the middle of their Star Wars experience. So they enjoyed what they saw, and it was just more Star Wars for them.
Right.
Okay. I don't even think it stood out.
You know, that does kind of make sense, I guess, when looking at the whole spectrum. Like the prequel trilogy is so amazing technologically. The sequel trilogy is also amazing technologically, and they both do a lot of interesting stuff. There's a lot of high drama that these original 3 can feel kind of muted.
Yeah, especially this one, maybe, because it doesn't have the baseline, like, good story. I mean, like, it's not a bad story, but it's just, like, it's not that good of a story. And it's kind of, like, it doesn't fully fit together in some ways. Like, I don't really see how Tatooine connects.
I don't think so either, but I really feel like this one should have nailed that landing of, this is the end of Anakin, you know?
Yeah.
And it really should have felt like that, but at the time, they didn't know that.
Right.
Lucas could tell them all that he wanted, that no, this is actually the conclusion of my actual character's story.
Yeah.
But until he makes a prequel, you don't feel that. And even retroactively, when they put Hayden Christensen in at the end scene,
it doesn't, it takes away, actually.
It doesn't,
from the...
Yeah. It doesn't make the connection that he wants to make you feel the weight of these 6 movies.
Yeah, actually, I think that it really takes away from the weight of it, because what it shows is that, like, there's no real forgiveness for the person who Darth Vader became.
Yeah.
He only goes back to being, like, just the Hayden Christensen.
Before you were
Before he was evil. Yeah. And, like, the way it was before, it was still better, because this guy achieved redemption, and you see him there. Like, the dude who was all scarred. Like, he's there.
And I think the reason they didn't do that is because when you show up as a Force Ghost, no one shows up with a mechanical arm. So if it would have just been Hayden Christensen sitting without arms or legs as a Force Ghost.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is the old
why
Force
is that
Ghost,
a rule?
does he have a droid arm?
I don't think. No, he has all of his own limbs.
Yeah.
Okay. They're all that. But then the older Anakin could not have appeared that way because of the rule.
What?
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
wait, no, but he did appear. Didn't he appear?
Jesse does not. Hang on.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I don't get it.
If he was a Force Ghost, he would not have appeared with his robotic limbs.
But isn't that a rule that they put in after they'd already? Because didn't he show up as a Force Ghost in the end originally?
And he had all of his own natural limbs.
Yeah.
Yes, because they didn't tell us that he had all artificial limbs yet.
Right.
Which is why also when they said, like, oh, it doesn't make any sense why Darth Vader does the Force choke with his hand, because it doesn't work, because the Force isn't being worked with his robotic arm. Right?
Yeah, but like,
you see,
I feel like
this is why George Lucas would say that's why he used the Hayden Christensen, because that's the last time that he was whole.
That's stupid.
I'm just saying that's
a stupid argument. This is a bad reason.
That is really bad.
Like,
I love the idea.
What rules does Star Wars follow? Like, where are the rules
George
it follows?
Lucas's.
Like, it's just he makes up these random rules. I'm sorry. Like,
they are random rules.
Why?
Like, I love the old Darth Vader coming back. He's Anakin again, and he has like you see his mushy face, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And he doesn't have a mushy face as a Force ghost. He just has like an old man goatee or whatever. And it was nice. It was like, oh, that's who he should be. Not who
I spent so many afternoons like envisioning that as Anakin, right? Like trying to do the whole like, what if he had never done that and he'd been Anakin Skywalker the whole time, and that the only visual reference I had was him as a Force ghost. Yeah, and like it just like sparked my imagination in so many ways.
And it's like, oh, he could have been another Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. But
given, well, and he actually achieves it too. Like that's the point of the Force Ghost is that he actually did achieve the greatness by overthrowing the Emperor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Overthrowing the demon.
Until.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna just shoot.
And I do love how that works though. It's because like you see Darth Vader and he's unconquerable from the beginning, and then you start seeing some emotional slip-ups. A little bit in The Empire Strikes Back, and a little bit in this one, just a little bit more. You see he has an attachment to Luke. And then he gets zapped by the Emperor, and he gets all deformed, right? And now you're like, oh, that's not the Darth Vader I know. And then he has his mask taken off. You're like, that's really not the Darth Vader I've ever known.
He looks so weak.
Yeah, you're pathetic. This is a pathetic man in a pathetic costume marching around with that Imperial March song going around with him, and then you see him as this old man, fully like. I love that transformation because like it doesn't shock you by the time you see him as a Force Ghost. You're like, oh yeah, I've seen Darth Vader change so much in the past 5 minutes that of course you could be that.
I saw this. I distinctly remember seeing this around the same time that I went to theaters to see Star Trek Insurrection, which was my first Star Trek movie I ever saw. Do you remember this one, Jesse?
Were those the people that did the facelifts?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to mention, because I saw these right around the same time, and when I saw Darth Vader with the mask off, I was like, it's an insurrection guy. Because there's these characters that for their faces, they put on faces that get stretched really tightly around their heads, and then they get stapled in the back. It's super gross.
It's really
But that's the first thing I thought of when I saw Darth Vader, because his skin looks like tacked on, you know?
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
In a creepy, gross way.
In a good way. In a good way.
Your skin looks like it's tacked on. In a
good way. Like that's what you're going for, right?
But I have to ask then, given what we've been saying about how it's been changed and everything, like Jesse, in your opinion, I'll ask you too, Mike, is this a good ending to a movie? And is it a good ending to a trilogy?
Hold on. Like, we asked me the question when I showed my kids,
right.
but I don't think you two have answered.
I know, but we're right here because we're talking about the ending so clearly.
Should we just talk about
So I kind of just wanted to ask the question here, and then we can keep, if that's okay. Do you not like that?
Well, I mean, Jesse brought it back. I'm going to. I haven't. You're going to.
Yeah.
You haven't.
Yeah.
Right? That's
exactly.
I mean, yeah. I
think we don't even
all.
need to do that, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, when I do, it'll be after 5, and I haven't done 5 yet.
Yeah, so same here. Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, these are dad classics. We have to show them.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're dad and you don't show it to your kids, then we should probably have a talk with you about myth and what makes life worth living.
Obviously, Ewoks and arcs. I don't know, but speaking of. Then arcs and what makes life like does this so you were going to ask, does this is this a satisfying ending as a movie and also as a trilogy? Those are two separate questions, right?
I think they're intertwined.
Okay.
I think they're intertwined. But I would just say that because I don't think that any of these chapters, I think they have to function as both. And this is like the early thing that we're seeing now with Marvel every 3 or 4 times a year. Right? Like, does this function as a chapter or does it function as a movie? And they have to keep answering both, but sometimes to a greater or lesser degree, that's true. But I think all the Star Wars movies do a really good job of being their own movie. At least the first 6 do a really good job of being a full story, but still a chapter. And I think this is also that. I think it's a good culmination, not great, of the prior trilogy that we've seen. We're retreading a lot of shit. There's a new Death Star, which is really takes up a lot of screen time and action.
It's kind of cool though. Like I kind of dug that where it was like, oh, they've got to build it. Like people built this. Damn.
Right.
That's crazy.
Still under construction.
This thing is huge. It's still under construction. Of course it takes like several years to build this.
Yeah.
I dug that.
Yeah.
So maybe as a movie, then, is it more satisfying than as a culmination of a trilogy? Like, if you'd seen this in a vacuum, do you like it more?
No. Yeah, I think I'd like it less.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, yeah, I enjoy that every question I've ever had about the other two movies are basically answered here.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you mentioned that the Yoda and Obi-Wan scenes as being boring, and they are kind of boring, but man, like every question anybody had about the second movie are just answered right there.
Yeah.
What do you mean when you said another one? Oh, I mean, Leia's your sister. Like,
there we go. Got the answer.
Why didn't you tell me he was my father? Well, from a certain point of view, the most bullshit answer ever. But he does answer, right?
It's true. This is true. It's a big exposition dump.
Yeah, and then Yoda dies, right? So now he's not a Jedi. There's going to be no like Jedi Master. It rests entirely with Luke right now. And then at the end, like everything that you've ever wanted, you want Luke to become a Jedi. You want him somehow to be reconciled with his father in whatever way that is possible. And that's not quite possible. And it turns out, yeah, it's still not possible. But his father should just be kind of a good guy. He does a good thing. The Emperor dies. The new Death Star is destroyed. The rebellion wins. How is this not like that is like everything I've wanted throughout this entire series. And that just checked everything off for me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think as a movie, like if I just saw this in a vacuum, I'd be like, why are we on Tatooine for so long? Because this doesn't seem to be very important to the integral story of Luke dealing with his daddy issues. Sorry. But
Daddy Vader.
But yeah, I think it caps off the trilogy excellently. And I mean, like, I don't know. I've been thinking a little bit about like the Han story. Like, why do we have the Han story at all? Because it's fun. It's fun. Like, it's a fun story, and it's fun to see sort of his world expand in this world of, the scum, the hive of scum and villainy or whatever.
Right.
It is. Expand, going back to Tatooine, to the homeworld. Like there's some things about it where it's like, oh, I can see how like there's sort of a myth type structure going back home to Tatooine, but they don't like do anything with that. They're just like, yeah, he's on Tatooine, but he's not going to go like near his home or anything like that.
Right. What's there to see there?
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, it's not even.
We can't go back there though because Rey has to go back later in episode 9.
That's right. When we really get the full, hero's journey. But
look at Jesse's face.
I just remembered that she actually ends up back on Tatooine at the very last scene.
Yeah,
I forgot it was Tatooine. I thought it was her home planet, which is also a desert planet.
No. She goes and buries the lightsabers from the Skywalkers, and then she announces that she is in fact a Skywalker.
Everything about that movie is forgettable.
Because that's what's important. That is what's so important about Star Wars. You get to choose what family you belong to.
That's right. That's what they've been building towards the whole time.
Anybody can be Luke, guys.
That's what they've said from the start. That's why
they've been watching him. They've been watching too much Fast and Furious.
Familia.
Family.
I agree. I think it's good. This to me is also kind of like a definition of like a matinee.
Yeah.
Like a hot Saturday afternoon that you duck into a movie theater at 2:00 and you emerge at like 5 and you're hungry, but you had a great time and it's a little bit cooler out and you got to cheer with your friends and you can make the jokes and quote the movie to each other as you eat dinner. Like I remember that very distinctly as a kid. And this movie has all the hallmarks. It's got the great action. It's got the huge confrontation that happens. It's got the amazing effects. It even has like the comic relief side characters. Yeah. It's got like the lovable, cuddly things that are there to help the main heroes along. It's got the love. It's got all of it, right?
Yeah.
It's really got Admiral Akbar.
It's a trap. It really reminds me though of like what George Lucas might have been thinking about back in the 40s and 50s about those Saturday afternoon serials.
Yeah.
And trying to make that for a new audience. And I think he really did it. And I can't tell you the number of afternoons that I've seen this terrific ending. And kind of like what I talked about in the Before Sunset episode with our collaboration with My Movie Fix is I feel like I'm always going to be having this endless like loop of memories every time I watch Return of the Jedi. and it's going to cycle all the way back through to when I was a kid again, and when I was a teenager, and when I was an adult, and showing it to my kids. And I think it's going to happen over and over. And I think it's due to that lovely nature of this ending. So I think it's a fantastic ending. I think this is how it works. This is what we do.
Cool. I'm glad we're all agreed on that point.
Yeah. And speaking of this movie, though, and like those great things that we remember and love, I think that we might all pick it. But for me, it's the sequence with the Emperor and Darth Vader and the fighting. Okay, that's the best for me. Watching Luke square up with Darth Vader, it was everything that I ever wanted. Everything. Like almost nothing has ever topped the emotional weight of that fight. Even the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan at the end of episode 3, which is fantastic on Mustafar, right?
Yeah.
And we got the music that's playing. It's literally at 11.
Yeah.
It's so loud. And the fight, it goes on and on and on. And then it ends with this emotional crescendo with the twins being born and Padme dying. And
from sadness.
Yeah, from sadness. She's lost the will to live. Even that is still not as big a deal to me as this. Yeah, I think about this all the time. It's my favorite scene. Is this your favorite? Is this your favorite?
I mean, I do. Like, how can you not love that scene? Yeah, that is everything that you've wanted Luke Skywalker to do this entire time. I think that scene solidifies why this is a good ending, right? Right? Like you can't say this is a good ending and not have father and son duking it out in front of the Emperor. The Emperor like egging it all on, and you're like,
"That's right,
you douchebag." But yes, please listen to him.
It's a move that like it works every time. When you want a good end, have father and son just fight.
Yeah,
like instead of Hot Rod, like you just gotta have father and son fight.
Like I think the scene is great and the sequence is great, but I don't think it's my favorite though.
Interesting.
The whole Tatooine sequence. This is fair. It's kind of my favorite.
Like everything from like when C-3PO gets to Jabba's palace, or
like I just had my favorite scene was like 40 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, so it's like 40 minutes.
Definitely cheating. But yeah, that whole sequence is my favorite part of the movie.
You see, that was a close second for me, but they did a thing that I hated. Okay, they took my favorite line out. And they put in a different line. So when Lando falls off the speeder and he's dangling over the Sarlacc pit, and Han leans over and like is trying to get him, right?
Yeah.
And then the Sarlacc tentacle comes out. In the original, he's gonna shoot, but he's blind, right?
Yeah.
And Lando says, "Don't shoot, you're blind." And he says, "Trust me," and just shoots and gets it. And in this new one on Disney Plus, he says, "It's okay, I can see a little better."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Which is awful. Because I love that line because it's so Han. Like, you're going to get eaten by the Sarlacc, or I might save you, or I shoot you in the leg. Who cares? This is better.
Like, whatever it is that happens, I try. Like, that's what's important. I need to be able to live with myself.
Yeah. And then the unfortunate change with the CGI aliens that we've already discussed. It's so stupid. Like they have like these women dancing and then a CGI monster dancing with them. It's so gross and she doesn't fit. But yeah, I've always loved like the Jabba underbelly. I thought that was really interesting that here's a crazy weird crime syndicate. They have like, a pleasure barge or whatever that thing is. I don't know.
Yes.
I've always thought that was really cool. That seemed to be genuine Star Wars world building. And sometimes with Hoth, you get like, I don't know, an ice planet, and it doesn't turn out to be that interesting. But here you have something totally different than the whole Empire rebellion thing being thrown into Star Wars for the first time. And I've always really enjoyed it. Besides the Leia golden bikini thing. Which
now listen,
it's really
if you'd asked me at 10 years old, I would have said this is my favorite thing about this. As a father, I'm going, oh man, do we have to do this?
Yeah, I don't think we had to do this. My daughter was like, what happened to her clothes?
They took them because of spy shit.
Yeah, I was just like, the bad guys took them. That's all I got for you.
They didn't have any that would fit her.
I couldn't even go into detail. I'm like, maybe you shouldn't be seeing the Star Wars. I don't know. I don't want you thinking about this right now. That's the only uncomfortable thing, and why.
George, if you're going to do CGI, like put a few more clothes on Leia. Come on.
George's like, no. It's a traditional Huttese dancing costume.
You,
she
George.
Needs to wear it.
You, George. That's what I say.
Well, you know what? You can say that on your way out, loser.
The scene when they're fighting, when they take them to the Sarlacc pit, from that point forward, I think is my most rewatched part of this movie.
Right.
I loved it so much. Like Luke just laying into these lame
R2 shooting out the lightsaber.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He does the force jump flip and like catches himself. I mean, these people are pretty stupid, I have to say.
Yeah.
You know, like they untie him before throwing him into the Sarlacc. Like who does that? Idiots.
Yeah.
That's who. But man, I loved it. And Boba Fett, he's here and he's just an idiot.
He dies so quickly.
He runs into the side of a ship and falls down.
Yeah. Well, he keeps trying to like shoot and like use all of his cool like tools and stuff. But then like the stupid other people just keep whacking him, and like Han and Luke keep like bumping into him and making it.
I can't wait
like
to see
fire
the book of Boba Fett to figure out like exactly how are they going to redeem this character as a badass in our eyes.
I don't understand why people are like he's so cool. Or
he
whatever.
doesn't do
like,
anything cool at all.
Yeah. I mean, like there's something about it. I don't know.
It's his outfit. I mean, the Mandalorian is basically Boba Fett the show. Only just doesn't have him in there.
The Mandalorian, the Mandalorian is Jango Fett, who is always way cooler. Jango did some crazy shit back when. Yeah, you know.
But in Attack of the Clones,
he does some crazy shit. It's not his fault he gets his head cut off with a lightsaber.
Have you guys played Knights? You've played Knights of the Old Republic.
I have.
Have you played Knights of the Old Republic?
Not very much. No. Like
the Mandalorian lore in that is some badass shit, man. Like this stuff is so cool. They've got these droids that they like fly when they invade a planet. They like jump in this droid and go from outer space like through the atmosphere. Yeah, like mech suit type things. That's what I want to see.
Like Gundams.
Well, they're not Gundams though, because they get down there and they're just in like their normal armor and they're just like carrying these massive machine guns, but they're not Gundams.
Okay, so it's like Ripley and Aliens in the suit.
Less so. Like they're holding on. Like I don't know how to describe.
Is it like Edge of Tomorrow?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe it. It's very cool.
I kind of remember these. I don't know very well.
I want to see Knights of the Old Republic man into a movie.
Yeah.
Yes. Or like even before Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, of the older Republic.
Yeah. Before there were knights.
Can we find the random settlers of a really old Republic?
Could we find the creators of the Jedi? Like I don't know who those guys were,
dude. No, also, but those games go into that stuff, man. It's some really cool stuff, like the origins of the Sith. I don't know if any of it's canon, but it's really fun world building as far as it goes. Like the Sith were actually, according to Knights of the Old Republic, I'm going super nerdy here.
Yeah, you are.
Do it.
But it's just about a video game, so that's cool. I don't know. But they like the Sith were a species, and like the species, you know, they learned how to use the Force and developed into the Sith as we know them today, which is like it's not just, you know, the species of people. It's like you can, you know, you've got Darth Vader who's like a human.
Right.
Whatever. And there's a planet, like the home world of the Sith.
Bunches of Sith?
Yes. There were bunches.
Yeah, not just two.
Yeah.
No, that was a later rule. That's a this 9 movie thing.
This is like thousands of years before the Star Wars trilogy as we know it. Before the Republic.
Long time ago.
Before any of this. So it's like it's barely connected to the universe.
Old Republic.
Oldest Republic.
I guess Knights of the Oldest Republic. I guess there was a Republic.
So basically like as we're seeing the Ewoks now, this would be like the Ewoks of back then. So this is a hard connection to make.
Okay, yeah, this is spiraling out of control. I was gonna say honorable mention for favorite scene is Billy D. Williams and the alien on the Millennium Falcon for just eons being hilarious, like just having so much fun, and then finally blowing up the Death Star. Like, that is
a pretty great. Yeah, the whole scene at the end when they're like blowing up the Death Stars, that's a great scene.
It really is.
They're really the movie does such a great job of like doing that, and then the throne room, and then Endor. You know,
it really does an excellent job of jumping between these 3 storylines and these three crises occurring, and they all have to happen like they put it, it's so much fun because they put it in this like time box where it's like everything has to happen at the right time and we don't know if it's going to.
Yeah.
Like, are they going to be able to bring the shield down in time? If they don't, then like the fleet's going to get blown up. And like, but like you can't pull it down too soon because then they'll blow it up too soon. And like Luke will die and won't have the final confrontation with his father. And so it all has to happen. And then it finally does. It happens just perfect timing. So that's a good job of it. It's kind of impressive, actually. Thinking about it now. It's like, that's hard to do. 3 storylines. All right, Lucas.
They were all interconnected. And you, I guess at the end of the day, they're all really supporting Luke, right?
Yeah.
That's what they're all there.
Because he is the longest one. Yeah. Like his continues, right?
Great. Okay. Shit. One thing that I guess I've always wondered, especially given the prequel series, there's always that talk of Anakin being the chosen one to some prophecy that we've never, ever heard. Is this the fulfillment of the prophecy that he kills the Emperor? Is this?
I always thought so.
That's the only explanation that makes any sense, but
because Emperor Palpatine is the Phantom Menace. That he's the disturbance in the Force that Yoda feels but can't quite nail down. They kill Darth Maul, and then like, no, wait, there's still other stuff.
Yeah,
like there's still something else there. And then in the Revenge of the Sith, when he's unveiled, right after the attack by Mace Windu, and then you see Anakin fall, and that's why Obi-Wan's so pissed. You were supposed to be the chosen one. But here, no, this is the fulfillment, right? This is him winning. Like the dark side is defeated. The Sith are dead.
Yeah, but with the sequels, like, doesn't it just wash it all away?
7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
I
mean, like they could. Yeah, it's
especially because Palpatine is not dead. Actually,
right. Actually, no, like this has frustrated me to no end. Almost since like they talked about a chosen one, because I was like, wait, I know that he's dead now. When I saw that first one, and it was like 10 or whatever. I was like, I know he's dead, and all he did was throw the Emperor down. But did he defeat the dark side completely? Because at this point, I had some idea that there were other bad guys around there, and there were all these books that were around that I sort of dabbled in.
That's what they're saying though when they establish the rule of 2, right? Is they're saying because both Sith are dead, the Sith are dead, right? Because they wrote themselves into a little corner there.
Yeah,
and then they had to like find other shit to do.
I just never like I don't know. I've never found the rule of 2 compelling.
I don't think it's very cohesive.
It makes no sense. Like, why is it that only 2 people at any given time will be bad Jedi?
It's not chaotic enough, and also too chaotic.
Because then it's like, well, General Grievous, he's not a Jedi.
That's right.
He just uses Jedi shit. Because it's really Count Dooku and Palpatine.
That's right.
But then when Count Dooku is killed at the beginning of Episode 3, then it kind of leaves the door open for Anakin, right? Because of the dyad. But then it turns out a Force dyad is a way different thing, unrelated to the rule of 2. How dare you think that?
Wait, what's a Force dyad?
That's what Kylo Ren and Rey are.
Right. That's why they talk to each other. Yeah.
So
that
stupid.
Was well thought out.
None of this makes any sense.
Is it all like going back to trying to do something with duality? Like being like, duality is interesting. Can we do something with that?
Yes.
Is that what this entire, all of the problems with Star Wars is? Is it just like, let's do something interesting with duality? And
overwrite simplicity.
I also wondered, this is another thing that I've always considered is like maybe Anakin was never the chosen one? Because he's supposed to, the prophecy was, they say at some point, is he was supposed to bring balance to the Force.
Right.
But the thing is, right, if you got a dark side and you got a light side, if you get rid of the dark side, then that means the light side is, it's like if you think of the justice symbol, then the light side has all the weight down there. And it's not balanced.
Which is what they bring up in Episode 9 with Rey. Her being the one. And then when she unveils her yellow lightsaber.
That's right. And the yellow lightsaber is the symbol of oh, that's right, but it used to be the symbol of like a gray Jedi.
Yes,
but
they're not doing that
now.
Which is no such thing as a gray Jedi. Instead, she's moved beyond Jedi, and now that's the true balance: is the doing away of the duality. You see, they were looking at it wrong all along. What they really should have done is not do any of that.
Yeah, honestly, all right. I want to.
This is just
so well. This is where Star Wars lore kind of starts frustrating me. And, like, I know we're pinning it all in the sequels, but I think, like, there's shit in here that kind of bugs me. especially with like emotions and stuff. Like I've never been sure what is really being said about emotions. I know it's supposed to be like, all right, don't get angry. They constantly say that and hate leads to anger, or no, fear leads to anger leads to hate leads to suffering.
Yeah,
that's right.
But so the first thing though is don't ever be afraid of anything.
Right.
Like Stoicism. Nothing can make you afraid.
But like they all like Obi-Wan establishes with Luke at the very beginning, like you have to search your feelings. They always say like search your feelings, like extend your feelings out or shit like that. There's something about your emotions that is connected with the Force. And it's almost like if you stumble upon these bad ones inside of you, then you're going to go down the dark path of the Force, since the Force is connected with your internal being. And so, like, maybe I don't even understand, like, Luke's arc at this point, like, because he was told, like, to be stoic, basically, right? In the fifth one, right?
Conceal, don't feel.
Yeah. Conceal, don't feel. Don't let it go.
Well, and Yoda says, like, if you go and save your friends, like, they're all going to die. Like, don't
do that shit.
Don't be worried about your friends. Like, let them die and become a Jedi.
And Luke's like, no, I'm going to worry about them and save them and win. You'll see. Yeah. And Yoda's like, no, you won't. And then he totally does.
Yeah, and he tells him, don't confront Darth Vader, whatever you do.
Ready you are not.
And then the next time he sees Yoda, he's like, yo, go confront Darth Vader. You can't do that. You can't be a Jedi unless you do that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Super confusing, not helpful.
Like, I'm not sure. Like, there seem to be rules with the Jedi, and they don't seem to be thought out, like, at all. Like, I'm not sure if there are rules anymore.
It's like when they reject Anakin for not allowing him to be a master but he can sit on the council. You're like, but why? Like, I haven't seen this conehead over here do anything. Like, what are we doing here?
What does it mean to be a master? Or to sit on the council?
Why aren't there tests for this? There should be a standardized test and not just like feeling the room out. Like, hey y'all, do we think we should let him in our super secret meetings? No, I had a bad burrito. Like, my stomach hurts. I don't want to do that. Okay,
I'm searching my feelings, and my stomach is upset.
It must be Anakin. No,
also,
okay.
So Obi-Wan is constantly annoyed at Anakin in the entire prequel trilogy. It's like
he's kind of bitchy.
Like, there, annoyance and anger, they bleed into each other pretty easy. Like, how is he not constantly angry and constantly afraid for Anakin's safety? Like, Obi-Wan has all those emotions, too.
Fear leads to annoyance. Annoyance leads to irritation. Irritation leads to anger. There's some extra steps that should have been covered. No, I've been thinking about this a lot because when I was shown this by my father, when he was showing me this, my adopted father, he used these as a tool to teach self-control, to teach integrity, to teach courage.
Okay.
Which are all great things to do, and Star Wars very easily lends itself to that because you can't look too deep into it. You have to kind of take it literally at face value at what they say, which is kind of a lot of how parenting happens when you're a young child. Is a lot of times when you tell your kids stuff, a lot of times they have to take it at face value. Don't hit your sister. Why? Well, because it's bad to hit people, or it's bad to hit your family. Why is it bad? Like, we can do this long thing, but sometimes the kid isn't ready to understand every reason. And sometimes you have to just stop the buck and say, you know what, don't hit your sister. Sorry, that's the rule. Mm-hmm. And so that was how these movies were presented to me. And in that way, they're very good, but they do teach a very bad lesson. They teach the lesson that extreme emotions are bad because they are extreme, and no one should be present for extreme emotions. And this was a bad lesson for me to learn as someone that had extreme emotions. And I did conceal and not feel for a very long time because I thought that was a good thing to do. It's a terrible thing to do. Guess what? Human beings are meant to express emotions. They're not meant to not express them. When you shove them down really, really far, bad things happen. And that's not emotionally healthy. And the Jedi, for all the good that Luke does, Luke breaks every rule of the Jedi while still maintaining that they're good, which is why I like Last Jedi so much, is because eventually he sees how that does not work out. And he says, you know what? I did not like that at all. I don't know why I said that all those years. Like, no, it doesn't work. You have emotions. You're a one thing. You're a one person. And it always felt natural to me that the Jedi Order and the Sith were both wrong. Just one was violently wrong and one was passively wrong.
One caused emotional trauma, one killed people.
Yeah, physical trauma, right? Well, death is a physical trauma.
Yeah, I guess so. It's like the most. I guess death is the most traumatic experience you can go through.
Exactly.
Huh. Yeah. Interesting. I've never considered it.
So you know, the Jedi were sitting there training the younglings to never have extreme emotions, and then the Sith just killed the younglings.
And then raised one up to do that, right? And I just think about it a lot, and I think about how people internalize the wrong messages from Star Wars all the time. Like we talked about last time in episode 5, right? The try, do or do not, there is no try, right? And how at face value, that's a really bad thing to take into account. And I think this is a similar thing here. You know, the search your feelings, don't get angry. Like it only works in the end because Darth Vader feels love towards Luke and wants to save him. And it's the same love that Luke had for his friends when he wouldn't let them die, which should not be allowed because Jedi can't have attachment. But guess what? He killed the Emperor. Like, you're going to say that was wrong to do, Jedi Council? Also, you're all dead. How'd that work out for you?
Yeah, it seems like there is a little bit of subtlety to it, where it's like pointing to don't act on the strong negative emotions like hatred and anger and those sorts of things. I've always felt like the confrontation with the Emperor when he's like, you know, strike me down and then you'll be on the path to the dark side. Is like, wait, no. Like, he can be angry, he can have hatred for this guy and kill him, and that's a good thing for him to do. You know, just on, like, this is a bad person who needs to die. And that's okay if he's feeling different things. Mm-hmm. That's what I've always thought. I was like, this seems a little weird that this is... It's kind of like, you know, if Han shoots first, he's a bad guy. It's like, no, he is a bad guy, and it's okay to shoot someone who's going to shoot you first.
This is true.
Like, these are... You know, like kind of these false situations or false dichotomies, maybe.
Right.
It's like,
well, the Emperor deserves to die. Quite... Please kill this guy.
Yeah,
the planet.
But the moral roadblocks that the movie sort of puts in the way there, as a kid, is incredibly convincing.
Oh yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's like the same stuff with like the Joker and Batman, right? Like, I'm going to make you break your one rule. It's like, oh, maybe you probably definitely should break that rule, though. Like, you should kill that guy. If you killed him, like, everything would be better.
This is that situation where it's like, well, the law can't do anything, and you can't stop him by doing. You just have to kill him.
You know, that's it. And if it makes you feel better, just sort of like push him off the edge.
Just like give him a little shove.
Look the other way.
Oh no! Oops.
Poor old Sheev Palpatine is just plummeting to his death. I bumped him. Oops. My sword went into his chest. I'm sorry, Jesse.
But, yeah,
I interrupted you.
I can't remember what I was about to say.
Did that answer your question, or did
I think so? It basically sounds like there's not quite an answer, other than to say that, like, yeah, it doesn't make sense if you dig deeper, really.
Kind of like as an adult with like a nuanced sense of morality and living, these movies don't really hold up in their moral sense or something.
Yeah, complexity in any way.
Yeah, but maybe for a kid,
it's beautifully clear.
For a kid, it's very clear. It's black and white.
Yeah.
We got a black hat, we got a white hat, and the thing that I think about is the fact that it does delve into. It's not quite as simple as black hat, white hat. Like it delves in. It makes these statements about the world. Like there is this duality. We got to find balance in the Force, and it seems like something that was just kind of written off without really thinking about the implication. That's a complicated universe you're entering there.
It's a complicated universe, though, that the movie does not treat in that way.
That's true.
And it's not even asking the viewer to treat that way. Like as we were just saying, like you dealt away with the dark side. There is no balance now.
Right.
But the movie doesn't talk about that at all, because the movie is basically just a Western, and the bad guys got vanquished and the good guys win, right?
Yeah. And also the balance thing doesn't really come up till the prequel trilogy.
Yeah,
that's true.
Right. And also, that's when you kind of realize that maybe the Jedi are a little more creepy than you were led to believe in the original trilogy. The whole idea that they take away children from their parents and like have this school where they're training them for over a decade and a half.
Yeah.
Like that.
We're so sorry that you are in slavery, but you will never see your son again. Really sorry. He's going to be a Jedi, though. So I hope you can bear your life of slavery well, with the knowledge that he's going to be a Jedi.
The Jedi never seemed compelling in that one. And sometimes I wondered if the prequels were a way for him to say, like, well, okay, maybe the Jedi really aren't all that great. Maybe there needs to be something else that needs to come after the Jedi Sith to bring real fulfillment, which we, I guess, sort of got with Rey.
I totally believe that he did have an answer to the balance question. I really do think that he had something worked out. And I think it probably would have been something like a gray Jedi, because guess what? If you take the Sith and the light and you mush them into one, you got a human person. I don't think he's dumb. And I think that he knew that. And I think he had a plan for it. And I think that his idea was completely disregarded in favor of something which wasn't cohesive and just further muddies these waters and makes it so hard to get an answer.
Maybe that's why I feel like just a constant frustration with Star Wars in general, because it's like, on the one hand, it seems to be dipping its toe into sort of complex moral questions and complex like philosophy and stuff. But then as soon as you start looking at that, it's like, no, this is a fun kids movie. Like, no, don't ask those questions.
Look at the pork.
You know what? It's kind of like how I felt about Tenet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how everything goes back to Tenet?
One word, it unlocks everything.
Yeah. Unlocks some doors you don't want to open.
Yeah, apparently George Lucas's sequel trilogy was going to be about like midichlorians.
Sick. And I do want to know more, though. I do want to know more.
And just about them and like midichlorians, like what they want and their infighting almost. But that's also when I get the feeling like that you were just describing, where it's like, no, I don't want that. Give me the Ewoks again, dude.
Maybe the Ewoks would have been cute.
Yeah.
You don't know. He likes cute CGI bullshit, so maybe it would
also
have been cute.
Ugly CGI bullshit. And Jar Jar Binks. He like stands by Jar Jar Binks to this day.
That guy, I loved him as a kid.
Yep.
Loved him as a kid.
You guys have no taste. No
I was
taste at
6.
all. Well, doesn't matter.
All right, I think we need to wrap up a little bit, and I would ask you guys to give me Jesse, give me your power ranking of these original OG trilogy.
That's really tough. I think it's Empire Strikes Back. I think that's number 1. I enjoy that one the most now. And then it's like a toss-up between A New Hope and this one for me. Like, I think they're basically equal. Like, one is a great beginning, cheesy beginning, and then it's a good ending and less cheesy with like lessons learned.
Right.
But like it's too long. It's too long compared to the other two, so like I'd prefer to watch A New Hope than this. I don't know. They're like equal.
What do you think, Mike? Is it 5 as the king, and then 4 and 6 kind of sit as like demigods?
I'm gonna go for it. I'm saying 5, 6, 4. That's what it is for me. There's a lot of nostalgia. There's a lot of the fact that I've seen 4 more than any of the other ones as an adult, because I can't count the number of Star Wars marathons I've started. So I don't really want to see that one again anytime soon. But I have not finished any of those marathons until now as an adult, and so 6 I've seen the least as an adult, and so I wouldn't mind revisiting it. And I just have a lot of love for 8-year-old Mike, like that little kid, like seeing the universe, seeing duality in Luke's face,
keeping that healthy inner child alive.
Yeah,
good. You know what? I'm actually gonna say it. I didn't think I'd say this before watching 6 again. It's 5, 4, 6 for me.
Okay,
because I have actually seen 4 the least amount,
really,
in my life.
Because you did the thing where
I do 5 and 6. Yeah. And so after watching it and seeing that, I think it's basically structurally like an unassailably perfect construction, even if it's like cheesy as all balls and like not that fun with not a lot of action.
Yeah, it
was still fresh enough and solid enough. And honestly, trying to get through Return of the Jedi this last time is much too long. And now I infinitely prefer the first hour 15 to the last hour 15. And I will fast forward every scene at the end that is not Luke and Vader in the throne room. Yeah. I'm just gonna like keep fast forwarding, like Endor, nope. Like fight against the Death Star, nope. Back to Luke. Give me back to Luke. And the 4th one is all about Luke and what a nerd he was. Like what a baby.
Yeah,
it's very whiny.
Can I just point out that we all have perfect balance right now? It's great.
We do. We do.
Maybe we're the chosen one.
We're a triad. It's a new thing.
It's a new thing. Do you see me when I'm changing?
The dad triad. Wait, what?
because we were just talking about forced dyad and rule of 2, and I'm saying now it's like a rule of 3, but I didn't want to say that because it's Sith, so I said triad because that's light side. And then you said, "Do you see me changing?" And now I don't know what to do.
Doesn't she?
I think
doesn't she like break in on him when he's like half naked?
Yeah, all right.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, sometimes.
Cool.
It's been known to happen.
It's been known to happen.
I'll let you know the next time it happens. I'll shout at you from across the room.
Yeah.
And you'll get to see the room that I'm in, and it'll be great.
Nice.
Wait, is the scene
that's like our
that
Slack meetings.
when they fight in the throne room, is that in 2 or in 8 or 9?
8.
I thought it was in 9 for a second. I was like, maybe it does have a good scene. Nope.
Best scene is in 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as we've talked about before, these are dad movies. These are all dad movies. And I think we've elucidated a lot of the reasons why. Like, Jesse's shown this already to his kids. Me and Mike are so ready and excited to do that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and this has just been a real pleasure, guys. Like, when we started this show, doing the OG trilogy was something we always wanted to do. And we knew that we had to do it before we ever stopped the podcast. And we've done it. And that feels like a really big deal.
Yeah.
It's great.
This is like earning your wings at pilot school for a podcaster. Like, did you do a podcast on Star Wars?
We did 3 on the OG trilogy.
That's right. 8 more to go.
Shit.
Wait, have you seen Rogue One with your kids?
No.
Have you shown them that?
That's the only one you didn't, right?
That's the only one. Yeah, I had already seen Rogue One. It's like, that's
that one's dark
and sad. I don't want them to see that. And then
the Bothan
we
Spies
saw some of Solo's story, and whatever.
Turn it off.
Yeah, that's a piece of.
They walked away, and I was like,
did we see that in theaters?
This out.
I think we did. I know I saw it in theaters. Was it with you?
I'm pretty sure we've had this conversation in the last podcast.
It's just such a forgettable movie.
Did we experience that forgettable thing together once? So next week, as everyone knows, it's the new year, and as we did last year, we're doing the same thing this year, which is taking a week off. So after this episode, enjoy your new year. Enjoy that hazy period between Christmas, New Year, and then whenever anyone goes back to their jobs. I don't know what day it is. That's a fun time, but we thank you for sticking with us for another year. It was a blast. We hope to give you some new exciting movies and different stuff that we're trying out. We're going to be changing up the show changing up the movies that we've been selecting. It's a whole new year, whole new us. So stick with us.
New year, new you.
Exactly. New year, new pod, baby. We'll see what it brings. Anything else to talk about Star Wars before we bid adieu for hopefully a good while?
Wisa got nothing.
It's good. I'm not even mad. That was good.
Yeah.
So without any further ado, Happy New Year. And good night.